All right, hello again, Algebra 2 folks. Here it is, with the one we've been waiting for. We're going to go through a 3x3 Gaussian elimination, start to finish, all the way down to the solution. Okay, it's using the same process that we did before. The main thing, before we get started, so let's first of all talk about what we want to look like, right? So we're still going to set up the matrix. We'll talk about that in just 1 second. But our final goal is going to look like this. We want it to be a 1, 0, 0, and then something. And then the second row, 0, 1, 0, and something. And then the third line is 0, 0, 1, and something. And then those somethings on the end are going to be our answers. Because remember, when we do this, it's always the first column is the x, second column is the y, and then z. So those are going to give us our answers. Okay. There's also a very specific order that we should do these in. As I said for the 2x2s, as you gain some more comfort, there are some different things you can do as far as order-wise, but for the time being, for starting off here, you're going to do it in this order. We're going to start with this. So we're going to start at this 0, and we're going to go get that 0. Then we're going to work our way across, and then we're going to work our way back up, and then back across. Okay, so we're going to get this one here first. We're going to get that one second. We'll get that one third, and then work our way up. We'll get that one fourth, and then fifth, and then sixth. Okay, and again, if you keep that kind of order in mind, and what we're doing, you're really going to do the same thing every time. Okay. So as we go to set this guy up in our initial matrix, let's kind of keep in mind. Let's keep in mind what we're allowed to do. So we're allowed to multiply a row by anything. We're allowed to divide a row by anything, and we're allowed to combine rows and then replace the answer with one of those rows. And then the other thing we can do, we can just switch rows around, right? We can just change the order. Now, if you look at the goal here in this question, look at my second equation right here, because the number in front of that x is a 1, and I know I want a 1 here. So let's just switch equation 1 and equation 2. We're not doing any math. We're just making the 1 up there in the top corner, because we know we want that at the end anyway. Okay, so I'm going to write equation 1 first. And again, x, y, z, constant. So it's going to be a 1, a -3, 5, and a -10. And then the second row, I'm going to do that one. So 3, 1, -2, 7. And then 2, 4, 4, and 6. Excuse me. Okay. Now, so again, let's go and start the process. So we want this first 0 here. So the first thing I want to do is make that 3 into a 0. Okay, and just like we did before, I don't even care about the third row right now. We'll get to that in a second. But just look at those guys like we did before. So how do we make the numbers the same? Different signs. So we can multiply that top one by -3 and then combine it, and we have our 0. Okay. So remember, our notation is exactly the same. So I'm going to do -3R1. We're going to combine that with R2, and that's going to be my new row 2. Okay, so I'm going to write that over here. So I'm going to have -3 times all that. So -3, 9, -15, and 30. And then row 2 stays the same. 3, 1, -2, and 7. Combine those up, and we have 0, 10, -17, and 37. Okay, can't simplify those. Don't worry, it's going to be okay, I promise. So I'm going to go and start writing that. Remember, my top row really isn't going to change for a while. So remember, those are my last 2 steps when I get those last couple of zeros. Now my second row is here, so that's good. Okay. Now, to save space, I'm going to do this in a different color. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and make this into a 0, 2. And I'm going to do this kind of in the same workspace just so I can have have enough room to finish the whole problem. Okay. So again, when you're doing this, ignore that second row now. So now we're just looking at the 1 and the 2. So again, same kind of question. I can multiply the -2 by the top and then combine it, and I get my 0 down there in the corner. So I'm going to write that as -2 R1 plus R2, R3 rather, I'm sorry, R3, and that's going to be my new R3. Okay, and put that in a box so we don't write over things. So -2 times row 1, so we got -2, 6, -10, and 20. And then row 2 is just 2, 4, 4, and 6. And we do that, we have 0, 10, -6, and 26. Now, some of you, and I literally just noticed this myself, in God's honest truth, some of you might be saying, well, Hamrick, couldn't you have divided all those first ones by 2 and made that one? I could have. Frankly, I just didn't notice it. So that's a good thing, because since I didn't notice it, I didn't write it down. So you're still going to end up getting the same answers. Okay. Now you might be saying the same thing. You're like, whoa, now you can definitely divide all those by 2. And you're right. But this is one of those recognition things. Notice the next 0 I want to get. I want to make that into a 0. But I already have that 10, and this is also a 10. So I'm not going to reduce that, because I think I see a pretty easy way to get that next 0. Okay. Now, again, if you had reduced this at the beginning, you would have gotten a different number here, and you're still going to get the same 0. Okay. So I'm not saying this is the right way. There's really not a right way. We're just kind of doing what we see. Okay. So that's that. Now, my next step. So I'll box around that. So my next one. So again, we're looking at this. So we want that to be a 0. But again, I kind of looked ahead almost and saw that was a 10. So all we got to do here is we just want to take row 2 and then combine that with a negative row 3. Okay. Now I will say, I don't care what the numbers are. In this step here, you're always going to want to use just row 2 and row 3, because we already have the 2 zeros. We don't want to lose that. So we definitely want to use row 2 and 3. Okay. So this is going to be row 2 plus a negative row 3. And that'll be my new row 3 again. Okay, so let's set that up. So we got 10, 0 in front. So 0, 10, -17, and 37. And we'll have 0, -10, +6, and -26. And when we do that, 0, 0, and we have a -11 and +11. Okay? So, but notice here, and again, we definitely want to do this, because I can divide both of those guys by 11, -11 in fact, because remember, we want that 1 kind of in that spot. And this is always going to happen, folks. I'm going to set these questions up so you're going to get some good, clean answers. If you get a weird fraction at this point, then you might want to take a look at your arithmetic. So this is going to end up being 0, 0, 1, and -1. Okay, so my new matrix. So top row still hasn't changed. It's going too soon, I promise. Second row. And then my bottom row is set. So it's 0, 0, 1, and -1. Okay. So now we're good. So now, remember our goal, and now we're going to start going up. We're going to get this middle 0 in the middle row, and then we're going to kind of go up and do the last row. Okay. So where are we going? So we're going to get this guy right here. But again, notice all I got to do for this one is just multiply that bottom row by 17 and combine that. Because again, I got all these zeros, so that's going to be an easy one to do. So once I get that zero, then I should be able to get everything in that one. So let's do that. So we're going to have row 2 plus 17 R3, and that's going to be my new row 2. Okay, so let's write that out. So 0, 10, negative 17, and 37, and then 0, 0, 17, and negative 17. And look what happens here. So we got 0, 10, 0, and 20. Guess what? Divide those by 10, and you have 0, 1, 0, and 2. And again, my second row is done. So you got 1, negative 3, 5, negative 10. Second row, 0, 1, 0, 2. And the last row, 0, 0, 1, negative 1. Okay. Now I will say at this point, and I'm not going to do it in the video, but in class, I'll talk about a way that even on this previous step, when you're at this step right here, there is a way that you can start solving the system right from there, because I know what z is. But I think it's pretty easy to just do these last couple steps and not even worry about them, because doing that other method involves substitution and stuff like that. This way is pretty straightforward. So remember, what do we want next? We got all this stuff. Now we want to get this zero, and then we'll move over to that last zero. Okay, so I want to get this guy right here. And again, use the bottom row, because it's just a 1. I can multiply that by negative 5, combine it, and I got it. So it's going to be R1 plus a negative 5 R3, and that'll be my new row 1. So there we go. 1, negative 3, 5, negative 10, 0, 0, negative 5, and positive 5. 1, negative 3, 0, negative 5. Now that doesn't simplify, and it's okay. So we're going to set that up. So 1, negative 3, 0, negative 5, 0, 1, 0, 2, and 0, 0, 1, negative 1. And the last one, our big finish, the grand finale, we're going to make that into a 0. And again, my only choice really is to multiply that second row by 3, and then combine it. So this is going to be R1 plus 3, R2. And that's going to be my new row 1 again, my last row 1. So that's going to be 1, negative 3, 0, negative 5, and 0, 3, 0, 6. And we have 1, 0, 0, 1. So my last matrix, again, that's my new top row. So we have 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 0, 1, negative 1. And remember what that means, folks. When we do these things, my first column is X, my second column is Y, my third column is Z. So this tells us that X equals 1, Y equals 2, Z equals negative 1. So I write that as my point, and we got it. Okay. Now again, using matrices in the draw operation, it just kind of condenses things. Is that a long problem? Yes, I do not deny that it is a long problem. But using substitution or like normal elimination with all the variables thrown in there, it would actually be a whole lot longer space-wise and writing-wise. Okay, so that's example 1. I'm going to do the second example on a different video. So keep working on this. If you have some questions, come to tutoring. Until next time, stay safe.